Peryite. The name invokes fear, and people as death and despair are sure to follow. This Deadric Prince of sickness and disease, tasks and natural order. He is one whose name is uttered in the grimiest of pits, in the most retching abyss. He is the lord of all manner of illness-spreading critters, be it skeevers, rats, fleas, or mosquitoes. His followers do by his bidding, spreading the filth that bears his presence. What this bidding might be, you ask? He means to spread his sickness far and wide, infecting as many as possible. Or so most think. His followers do at least, as they often try to bring spoiled food into the city, pollute the cisterns and wells. They usually wear long robes, concealing their bodies, as they themselves are not spared Peryite's influence. All sort of scabs, wounds, and other deformities befall them. If witnessed, one might take them for an Amira follower, they are so repulsive in their appearance. As such, bandages are an inseparable part of their attire, hiding their hideous form, especially as they enter cities, contaminating everything in their presence. Peryite's breath is said to pollute both cloud and pool, indicating his means of leaving his mark on the world is through the air and water. He himself usually chooses to manifest as a rodent or a dragon. Not any dragon, however. I know your thoughts race to the golden glory of Akatosh's draconic form, but Peryite's vestige is starved, skinny and decrepit drake, green in color like the noxious fumes that permeate his shrines. He grants some of his followers the ability to spew something called vile vapor. His acolytes are capable, like snakes spitting its venom, to shoot out a stream of vile green liquid, tainting all it touches. Their greatest honor is to perish in Peryite's grasp, sick and decaying. It would seem that the places they inhabit are overgrown with green vines, bearing glowing yellow pustules swirling with liquid. These vines, one could argue, are a byproduct of the cult's activities, but I would speculate they originate from the pits, and as the Blight Lord bestows his blessings to the cults, the vines spread from oblivion to Mundus. Understandably, some blame him for the Thracian plague and the Nahatan flu, but evidence is scarce. Other than both being diseases, there is nothing to connect them to Peryite. But who knows? Maybe he did have a claw in the making of these scourges. The pits is his realm. No one knows what it is like, or at least no one bore witness to its septic glory and lived to tell the tale. It is said that he is one of the weakest princes, and yet he is still a force to be wary of. He might be looked down on by his fellow Etada, but to us mortals he is possibly the most dangerous. How can you fight something you cannot see? How can you avoid something that could be anywhere at any time? The vectors for his gifts are all around us, whether we like it or not. The only culture where his worship is not frowned on is in the Reach. The Reachmen see him as a great purifier, one who whittles out the weak and allows the strong to flourish, one who provides the rot on which new life can thrive, the pus that flushes the wound of corruption. To them he is also the god of time and natural order, sharing many similarities to Akatosh once again. The Taskmaster title of his seems to come from his role as an Oblivion's enforcer, maintaining the stability of all the realms, keeping them from collapsing, colliding, or mixing. It is known that this part of his sphere is consuming him, leaving him little attention for the mundane matters, much to our luck. Although it is possible that it suits him, as he prefers to remain in the background, act unseen, and have others do the work. A demi-prince once said that Peryite was put in charge of this, implying that perhaps other Daedra were reluctant to take up the role of overseer, most likely being too self-absorbed and unreliable to fulfill this position. Being the weakest of them all, they probably forced him to maintain, among others, their own realms too. Then again, he apparently has also earned it, but what act must have he had done to warrant other Daedra so unanimously cast him into the pit of his own? One wonders of the consequences, once Peryite abandons his post. One of his enemies is Mephala. Not surprising if you consider that Mephala's teachings allow for civilizations to grow and prosper. And it is in the centers of civilizations, being cities, is where disease runs most rampant. Her lies and manipulation builds, while his decay erases. His artifact is Spellbreaker, a heavy shield of Dwemer make, used by them to negate the powerful magic of Shalidor as they clashed, most likely when crossing Skyrim during their famous leave from Resdayn. The heavy shield has the ability to dispel ill effects, reflects hostile spells, and interrupt enemy mages when they cast. He has other artifacts too, Billiot Censer and Toxic Cruciform, which I presume are used in his cult ceremonies, and Golden Scab, which I tried really hard not to imagine. And so, I would like to put forth a theory. As we know, mortal beings consist of a body, soul, and mind. Upon death, our body rots, our mind enters the afterlife, while our soul is cleansed in the dream sleeve. However, the idea of reincarnation and the recycling of souls implies that there is indeed a finite number of them. So perhaps, just like Mephala's sphere is sex and murder and lies, but those who can read in between the lines realize that her sphere is really the obtaining. Deception and seducements are but tools she favors to use. Would it not make sense that Peryite's sphere of natural order extends into Dreamsleeve, as he ensures that there are always souls ready to be pushed into Mundus, and when Dreamsleeve is too empty, he uses Pestilence to fill it up once again. With this in mind, it would make Peryite the Grim Reaper, the death itself, invisible, undetectable, but its effects are undeniable. He is the end to Oriel's beginning and Akatosh's present. This is why he chooses to present himself as a drake, a twisted mockery of the time dragon's might. Perhaps he imitates what Akatosh might become, were death come knocking.